So is political correctness killing the fashion industry? Well, RT correspondent Natasha Sweatte has more on how some designers are speaking up against what they're calling the tyranny of the woke.
Artists thrive through creativity, but now as political correctness has become front and center across the U.S., some fashion designers say the PC police are actually hindering their imagination. Scandals have rocked the biggest names in the fashion world. After being called too sexy, too white, too skinny, some companies question if it's just too much sensitivity. This came from the luxury brand Celine. Demagogic political correctness has become a kind of tragic tyranny of the literal. Going against the mainstream could result in a huge backlash. Dolce & Gabbana felt the wrath after addressing Melania Trump for an event. The left sought to boycott the brand, and they fought back with sarcasm. But with all of the awareness out there, some of the biggest controversies seemed avoidable and self-inflicted. Take Gucci's blackface sweater this year. How did that even happen? And while there's no question Gucci was out of line there are other circumstances that go far beyond what some designers say is reasonable. And some are actually calling for racial quotas on the catwalks. Others are calling for more body shapes and sizes to be represented in real fashion shows. Now, Dior was forced to pull an ad for its Savage perfume. It featured Native Americans performing a traditional dance. Some accused the fashion icon of calling them savages, but in fact, the word translates to wild in French. With the PC police out in full force, many fashion brands are even worried what to post on social media, wondering if they'll hurt someone's feelings. Culture will have to decide what's more important, censorship or free thoughts. In Los Angeles, Natasha Sweatte, RT.
For more, we are joined by fashion designer Zang Toi. Thank you so much for joining us, Zang.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so let's talk about this. What impact do you think has this current PC culture had on your fashion industry? And I'm calling it your fashion industry.
It's quite sad. We're getting so political correct, even for the fashion industry. And there are so many people in the industry now is getting so angry, like the far left, which I personally think is very unfortunate.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there are lines you have to agree that should never be crossed. And Gucci, I think, did cross it with their blackface lines. Others have too. And then you have Nike removing the Betsy Ross flag. I mean, there's two different, they're extremes. So should the fashion industry actually continue to try to stay political, or should they just avoid politics altogether?
Personally, I think it should avoid politics. Even as a designer, as a human being, we all have our different political view. And I think if we become too politically correct, it's going to take away the creativity of fashion.
Well, and that's the thing. You look at PC, you talk about, obviously, racism, and there's issue, obviously, based on the superficial of what we look like, the differences. But then there's also the political side of it and the pushback that goes against people who expose their political leanings. I have a friend who actually did the same thing, and they dropped him because of his more conservative standpoints. Have you seen that within your industry? And people, do you express your political views, or do you just hold them back more on your own because you feel like it's a safer thing to do for your job?
Well, yes, it happened to me last season for 2019. I decided to do an American collection, a red, white, and blue collection, to say thank you to America for allowing me to live the American dream before I show my 30th anniversary collection to pay tribute to my homeland, Malaysia. And the fashion, many of those in the fashion industry was not very happy with my red, white, and blue collection. They thought I did a collection as a tribute to President Trump. I happen to be a supporter of him, but my really, to do this collection is to say thank you to America. For me, I came here 38 years ago with $300 in my pocket from Malaysia, and I've achieved some success in the business, and I'm living the American dream. It's only correct that I say thank you, America, before I pay tribute to my homeland, Malaysia, for my 30th anniversary collection.
Well, and will that make you
because
think,
of that? Mm-hmm. And because of that fashion calendar, which is owned by CFDA, which is run by Tom Ford now, won't list my current collection in the calendar.
Well, and I thank you for paying tribute to our country, because that's not a political stance. I think it's just a tribute to a patriotic stance, and I thank you for that. And red, white, and blue is very much always welcome on this show. Thank you for coming on with us, and thank you for your continued contribution to fashion.
Great, thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
that's the news for this hour. Thank you for questioning more. We'll see you on Monday. It's hard to clear through the debris and get right down to the nitty-gritty that is real news. New details are coming to light in the case of Jeffrey Epstein as more
Spread between the 2-year Treasury yield and the 10-year Treasury yield.
Several hundred students are staging a sit-in.
the Amazon rainforest, and the blame game is underway. It's time for Art to America. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button.